So we're very lucky here to be joined by video and animation experts, Jess, a product design lead for video, and Tanmay, our product manager for video, to take us through how to design to move. Over to you, Tanmay.
Hey everyone. So welcome to our session today talking about designing to move. I'm Tanmay, a product manager in the video team. And
hi, I'm Jess. I'm the product design lead for video at Canva. So what is Canva? Well, as you all probably know, Canva is a free tool and you can visit canva.com and start designing without even signing in. And today I'm going to show you around the free video products, in particular, how to use animations and videos to make your social media posts stand out from the crowd. But Canva is more than just a product. We're a company with a very ambitious mission to empower the whole world to design. We're doing okay so far with over 50 million monthly active users, doubling in size every year in every country in over 100 languages. But as our founder, Melanie, always says, we're only 1% of the way there. So you might be wondering, why even bother with animations? So today we're going to be focusing on animations and how to spice up your designs with animations. So first of all, animations makes your content more engaging. They can help, entice your audience. Think of it as another visual layer used to enhance your content. They can also help you convey your tone and emotion through movement to really get your audience to feel a particular way. And you can also use animations to make a load of information feel more digestible as you build it into your design. So what will we be covering in today's session? First of all, we'll be looking at discovering templates. So Tanmay will run us through understanding where to find social media templates that can work for your audience. And then we'll go into conveying your tone. So we'll be looking at how to harness animations to emphasize the mood of your content all in one click. And then we'll be jazzing it up a little bit with customized animation. So exploring how you can mix and match animations to customize your design. And last but not least, we'll be sharing with you on how to share your design. So learning the most effective way to share your design for social media, for different platforms, so everyone can view the incredible design that you have put together. And now I'll hand over to Tanmay to talk about discovering templates. Tanmay.
thanks, Jess. So hi everyone. I'm going to run you through quickly on how you can find and discover some of our amazing animated templates. So the great news is that animated templates are everywhere. They sprinkled all throughout Canva, especially in some of these top used categories such as Instagram post, Instagram story, Facebook post, WhatsApp status, and TikTok video. And we are constantly growing this library with amazing templates designed by the Canva team, such as wow, wasn't that amazing? So some quick ways to find animated templates like this is either first through the icon. All animated templates are marked with a little play icon that you can see on the slide there, and will start playing when you hover over them. Or you can search for them by searching for animated templates by just adding animations to any of your search queries and filtering. Or while you're editing, if you already have a template picked, you can always just apply one. So for a quick example, you own an amazing shoe store and want to post about a sale. You search for an animated Instagram post, or even select from one of the suggestions below. You can see that all the templates are marked with a small play icon. When you hover over it, it will play, or you click the three little dots and hit preview, and you can preview the full version. Now, back to Jess.
Thank you, Tanmay. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about conveying tone through animations now. So a big part of animations is that it can be used as a way to emphasize tone without having to add any additional visual elements to your design. Think of it as like a layer on top of your design that helps you further articulate your tone. So I'm going to show you some examples of what personality is being conveyed through these following animations that I'll show you now. So the first one we have is a pop animation. Think about what kind of personality is being conveyed through this pop animation. So how did this animation make you feel? So did it make you feel excited? Did it give you full of energy? What did it remind you of? Maybe you heard the popping sound effect in your head when you're thinking about it. How would you personify this animation? You'd probably think of a person who is fun and full of energy. So you can immediately start to see how a simple animation can add an extra layer on top of your visual design. Okay, I'm going to show you another example now. So we have a drift animation. So that's just slowly drifted onto the page. So what does this make you feel? Does this make you think of anything in particular? So you can start to see how a simple animation can immediately convey this sense of being relaxed, being transient, being soft. You might think of a boat drifting along, which is all ways that, you know, an animation can add that extra level of interest to your design without having to add anything really much on the actual visual design. Okay, the next one, we've had this big stomp appear. What does that make you think? So it is quite dramatic. It's like you're making a statement, just as someone mentions, it's like a news broadcast. It's quite assertive. You might be thinking of someone who has just popped their foot down, you know, they're really stomping on the ground. So you can really see how quite dramatic that this animation, the effect is. Lastly, I'm going to show you one more. What does breathe make you feel? What does it make you think of? Isn't it great to see how, you know, you might not necessarily think of yourself as an animator, but immediately you can start to draw these emotions in relation to just some simple movement. So it might have made you feel calm, calming, exactly, very relevant. Subtle, inviting. You might be thinking of someone taking a deep breath in and exhaling. You know, all of these can be conveyed through very subtle animation. It doesn't have to be much, but it can really create a sense of, you know, adding that extra emotional factor to your design. So now we're actually going to get into a little bit of an exercise, and we're going to look at how to add your animations to a design to convey tone. And we're going to do that by starting with a full page animation. And basically this will be applying an animation in one click. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. All right, I'm going to get started. So you should see some kind of view that looks like this. If you don't have this bottom thumbnail view at the bottom, that's okay. What you should be able to do is at the bottom, there's this little arrow that says show pages when you hover over it. And when you click on that, it should be able to show those pages and hide those pages. So you've either got a scrolling view or you've got a thumbnail view open. I personally prefer using the thumbnail view when I create animations or any kind of design, because I like to see an overview of my design, but that's just a personal preference. If you want to stick to some kind of scrolling view, that's absolutely fine. All right, so we're going to jump onto page 2 here. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to analyze this design and think about what animation will actually be the most suitable animation to apply to this design. So as you can see in this design here, we've got bright colors, we've got, you know, some kind of sail on, a big burger repeatedly written in all caps. It's quite a bold animation. A bold design. We'll be applying the animation. Okay, so in order to apply animation, what you have to do is you have to click the page down the bottom in the thumbnail. So you can do that. If you're in scrolling pages, that's absolutely fine as well. You can just simply click anywhere on that page and that would also select the page. It also automatically selects it even if you're just in the viewport, so without actually having selected the page. Now in the top right-hand corner of the header, so this white strip at the top here, we call that the header. you have this icon here with the 3 circles that are trying to imitate a movement. And you might have a word there, or you might have a word that says animate there. I'm not sure which one you have, but it should say animate. It'll probably have another name there. And the name there is actually the name of the animation that has been applied to that page. So if you click on that button there, that animate button, so even if you hover, the little animate tooltip should appear. If you just click on that, you'll get this left panel that appears. And when you click on that left panel, you'll have all these different animation options. And what you can actually do is just simply hover over them to see all the different kinds of animations applied to your design. So you can start to see here all the different kinds of animations that I'm previewing. Now, I haven't clicked on any of those. I'm only hovering on those, so I know that it hasn't been selected. In order to select it, I've actually got to click on it. And what this does is it applies the animation to the entire page. So because I've got that page selected, and you can see by this turquoise outline, the entire page is selected. So now I want you to think about going back to the fact that this is using quite bright colors, quite large type. What kind of animation do we think will be quite suitable for this? Now, I don't think the rise is exactly quite right. It's a little bit too subtle for this bold, big type. Maybe pan isn't exactly right. So I'm going to go along and see, what kind of animation I think will be most suitable. And I remember before I showed stomp, pop, everyone's already going ahead. Yes, love it. So stomp is a very appropriate one. Yes, so this is quite a big, bold statement. Love it. And you might see this little icon down the bottom, and that's actually meaning that it's a pro animation. But that's absolutely fine if you don't have a pro account right now. You can apply any of these other free animations that don't have that little crown out icon. All right, so we're going to move on to the next page here. So on to page 3. So scroll down or navigate to page 3. So we've got this news article here, or news update, that's about raising money for a new library wing. So what kind of animation would we use here? It's a bit more of an informative design. We're not trying to make a big, bold statement. So maybe photo flow might work well. It's subtly hinting at the content rather than being bold. Another way to think about it is, what animation would probably not work? So you could use the process of elimination otherwise. So stomp would probably not be the appropriate animation there. It's a bit too bright and a bit too bold, but I'm going to probably stick to something like photo rise. You can see that subtle animation of the photo there. That's the one that I think I'm going to go with, but absolutely feel free to pick whichever one you think is most appropriate. And last but not least, we're just going to navigate to page 4. And now we've got this, baby shower or like birth announcement of Benjamin. It's quite a delicate image. We've got a little baby there. You might think, like a really soft little baby. You don't want to hurt it through a stomp animation. That might, wake up the baby. We don't want to be doing any of that. Maybe tumble, that might rock the baby a little bit too much as well. Try and really personify and have fun with this. So maybe rise or pan. Yeah, I'm not really feeling it. I feel like it's a bit too fast for me. Just speaking of fast, we are working on animations currently, and very soon you will be able to control the speed of the animations. So keep your eye out for that. That will be coming sometime this year. So I'm going to stick to breathe. I think breathe is quite a nice, subtle and soft animation for this baby announcement. I quite like that one. So in order to know if your animation has been applied to your page, you can simply click anywhere on this gray area outside of the canvas, and you will be able to see the name of the animation that has been applied to your page in the top left-hand corner of this top header that I was referring to before. So if I navigate to any of the pages, I'm able to quickly see what animation I've applied. So you don't actually have to click back into that panel. That's just a nice little hack. And if you want to quickly preview your animation, you can do it up here in that little play button. And what that actually does is it shows your whole video content, but you can just navigate to the page where you want to see that animation play. And because, you know, we have multiple pages in this design, it will play like a video. So just to recap where to find that, that's just in the top right-hand corner of that top purple header. So now that we've learned how to add an animation to the entire page, we're going to go and look at how we can mix and match animations to individual elements in the design, just to add a little bit more customization and have a bit more fun with our animations. So I'm going to give you an example scenario that we'll be using today, so we're all on the same page. Feel free to, you know, mix it up a little bit if you're feeling a bit brave and bold and if you've been using Canva for a while. So imagine you are this person who is designing a social media post. So you have a business, you own Wilshire Bakery, you want to promote it on social media. Your brand is great, your brand is on track, but it's just missing that little bit of something. So we're going to look at how animations can help make your design pop. And remember that adding that third layer can really emphasize a brand and give it that extra oomph without really doing too much extra. So we're going to go into our activity workbook number 2, which I'll show you shortly. And first, we're going to start with a full page animation. And just to give you a quick overview of what that might look like. So we're going to be turning this static design into something a bit more dynamic, such as shown in this right-hand side. So what we're actually going to do now, just to start us off where we're comfortable, we're going to apply a page animation to this page. The page that says baked fresh daily. So remember, we own Wilshire Bakery. Now, hopefully we can all remember how to apply a page animation. If you don't, that's absolutely okay. I'll just give us a quick recap. If you don't have this thumbnail view open, that's absolutely okay as well. You can toggle that on and off down the bottom just with this little arrow button. If you hover over that, it should say show pages or hide pages, and you're able to navigate between all the different pages. So in the top left-hand corner, sorry, I'm a bit bad with my left and rights. In the top left-hand corner of the top header, we should see this little icon here, which imitates motion, and it should say animate, or it should say the name of some kind of animations if an animation has already been applied. So now we're going to apply a full page animation to this page. And as we did before, we want to think about, you know, what is the tone of this brand? So we can see the colors here. They're a little bit more neutral. They're a bit more muted. You know, the text is not as bright and bold. It's a bakery after all. You know, you got to think about your audience as a bakery. You're not only serving young people, but you're also serving older people. You're serving families. So you got to think about what kind of animation is suitable for all of that audience. Remember, going back to what we learned at the start of this, you know, how we want to make our people feel, how we want to make our customers feel. And I'm already seeing some people are coming in with fade and rise. Absolutely. This might be appropriate because it's a bit more of a neutral animation. It doesn't have that massive personality that we probably would go for with, say, Stomp. Rise is quite a nice one. It's a bit more subtle. I think I'm personally going to go for Rise. I think it conveys a nice tone to our bakery. You know, it's a bit more traditional, and that's absolutely fine. You know, photo zoom, you know, I love the fact that everyone has an opinion on which animations they like more. It's absolutely good to have that standpoint, particularly in design. You know, design is really one of those things that there's no right or wrong answer. You as a designer needs to make that decision yourself. And that's what I love about it. It's completely creative, and that's why I do what I do. So now we should all have that page animation applied to our design. And now we're going to customize with some element animation. So it's going to get a little bit more interesting from now on. So we're going to start to learn how to start customizing that those elements. So as you can see on the left-hand side, this is the static design that we're going to start off with, and we're going to make it a little bit more dynamic to something like on the right-hand side. So this is a quick preview of what we'll be working on. All right, so now we should all be on the page that says free delivery. And whenever we select anything on the design, so everything that's on a page in a design is called an element. And you probably know that because we have this great elements tab over here in the left-hand side. So whenever we refer to anything on this page, we call those elements. So when I say the word element, that's what I'm referring to. So just a little bit of a language lesson there on terminology that we use in Canva. So whenever you select any of these elements here, so if I select free delivery, the interface is going to recognize that I have selected a piece of text. Or if I've selected these images here, the interface will recognize that I have selected a photo element. If I've selected some kind of graphic here that can be recolored, some kind of illustration, the interface knows that. So it's smart enough to know what we've selected, which is a good thing. It'd be problematic if not. So I'm going to start off by selecting the free delivery here. And as you can see in the top header, we've got all these different options to actually customize and manipulate the appearance of this free delivery. And this is quite a standard behavior, changing the font of it, changing the size. But as today's focus is on animations, we're going to look for our little animation button. Remember, if you can't find it, just look for that icon. And we're going to click on that. And because the interface knows that we have selected that piece of text, immediately the left panel opens up this tab called Text Animations. If we want to navigate back to our page animations, remember the page animation that we were learning how to do in the first part of this exercise? You can simply navigate to that as well. That will always be available to you. But the item that is selected is text animation. So that's our focus for right now. And you can see immediately all these different kinds of animations that are specifically designed for text. So you have a huge range of different kinds of animations designed specifically for text. So we've got typewriter, and you can immediately see that previewed in your design. Bounce, we've got all these different kinds of animations that are just made specifically for text. But remember, we want to think about our brands, and our brand is a bakery, going back to the fact that, who is our customer base? We'll be serving a range of different ages, we'll be serving families. So we don't want it to be too out there. Maybe something a little bit more subtle. I think bounce may have a little bit too much, of that fun personality that I'm not going for. Maybe roll is a little bit too dramatic for me. Shift feels all right. I don't mind shift. How about a send? Send might be a little bit too quick for me. Remember, we will be adding in the speed customization coming this year, which is some exciting news. Free might be a little bit too dramatic for me. All right. I think now that I'm previewing all of these, remember, I'm doing this at the same time as you guys, which is, what I would normally do. I would normally hover over each of those and make a decision based on what I think works well. I quite like shift. I think it has, it's not too dramatic, but it has a little bit of pizzazz that I want. So notice how that shift animation only got added to the text that I had selected. It didn't get added to any other element on the page. All right, so I'm going to go with shift for the text. Next, I'm going to select the images. So this is actually an image grid, which is absolutely fine as well, but it recognizes that as a group. And remember, as I said before, that when I select the image, the UI recognizes that I have images selected. So at the top in this left-hand panel over here, because the animation panel is still selected, because I can navigate through any of these elements here, but as long as this top animations button is always selected, the left-hand panel will dynamically change. If I click out of it, then I need to reselect that button at the top, that animate button at the top. But for as long as it's selected, this will always dynamically change. So if you've noticed, when I've navigated between the text and then back into the photos, this button at the top tells me that photos have been selected. Remember, there is that option always to navigate back to page animations, but right now we're customizing animations. So I want to add a different kind of animation just to the image elements. So I'm going to start previewing those, and you can start to see this photo flow, how it really adds this subtle animation in a different direction because it recognizes that the photos are in this grid arrangement. Photo zoom, so it does this subtle zooming in and out of those images. Photo rise is that subtle rise. Pan is applying to the whole group itself. I actually quite like photo flow. I like the fact that it, works in this kind of configuration of slowly flowing between them. Well, I can't decide between photo flow and photo zoom. I quite like that zooming effect. I think I'm going to go for the zoom. I think it works really well with the free delivery text. All right, next we've got this icon down here. So what you can actually do is you can select the text and select that illustration here. And you can see for the illustration element animations appears because it recognizes that that is a illustrative element, whereas the Wilshire Bakery here is text. What I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to, increase the complexity just slightly by selecting both of these. So you can select both of those by doing a marquee select, which is like a click and drag select. Or you can select both of them just by holding down Shift and then selecting the next element. And what I'm actually going to do here is, because I want those to be treated as one element, I don't want them to be treated as two separate elements. So I don't want the text to animate differently to the bread loaf illustration. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to select both of those, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to click group. So hopefully everyone's followed that. If you don't want them to be grouped, you can always right click and ungroup those again. But just to run through that one more time, I'm going to select both of those elements there, right click and select group. And now what the interface recognizes is it recognizes those two elements, so my logo, as one element. So it groups those together. I'm going to go back up and select our little animation button. And because we've grouped those, it's now treated as one element. So it doesn't recognize that that's text and that's an image. It treats them as one element. And I'm going to apply a separate animation to this group. And I quite like the fade effect. I think it's quite subtle. Or maybe I just want no animation. Remember, it's absolutely okay not to animate something. You don't need to animate absolutely every single thing on the design. Remember, keep it simple. Simplicity is one of our biggest things here at Canva, keeping everything simple. So I'm actually going to go for none. Now, something that might happen to you is even though you've grouped it, you might accidentally select one of those individual elements themselves. You can just marquee select that just by clicking and dragging and making sure that entire thing or that entire element selection is selected. Or you can select the text itself, because remember, you can have a group with individual elements within that group animated. So hopefully this is all, coming together and making sense, but I'm going to have none for my logo here. So I'm just making sure everything is set to none. And for our little background item over here, so, I'm not sure what I'm going to put for that. I'm going to select it and hover over my different element animations. I want something quite subtle because it's in the background, remember. Pan feels a bit dramatic. I think I'm going to stick to breathe. I quite like breathe. I think it's quite subtle and beautiful, particularly because we are animating for a bakery, which does have a different kind of audience. Now you can immediately see how we've customized this design simply through, using the element animations here. We haven't added anything to design. We don't have any more, visual noise on the page. but immediately we've changed the mood just by adding animations. So that was our second exercise. Feel free to continue experimenting in your own time. There's a whole lot of range of combinations that you can make just by, you know, adding animations to different elements on the page. So I'm going to move on to the next section now. And we're going to talk a little bit about choosing the right video for your social media post. So something that we need to think about when choosing the right video is, do the colors fit the brand? So do the colors in the video match the color of your branding or the tone of your brand? You also want to think about, does the mood convey your brand? Think about the personality of your brand. Does the video reflect this? For example, you want to put a dark noir film style video to promote a child's ball pit room. You know, a child's ball pit room is quite fun and quite energetic. So you probably want a video to reflect that personality. It's a simple mistake, but I've seen it done many, many times, so you'll be surprised. You also want to think about, where will your video be shown? Will it be in a big screen in a nursing home? You probably want the content in your video to resonate with who is viewing it. So if it's in a nursing home, you don't want the people within the video to be like children or, you know, really young teenagers at a club. You know, you're trying to resonate with the audience, and your audience is those residents within the nursing home. How busy is the video? If there's a lot going on in the video, most likely viewers won't be able to focus on anything else in the video. So think about how busy is the content and what's actually occurring in the video. Will there be information overlaying the video? So think about where your video will actually appear in your design. So if you're overlaying text on top of the video, most likely you won't be able to read it if it's on top of a busy video. And lastly, think about what kind of shot it is. So when I say shot, I'm thinking about, you know, where is the camera actually filming the item of interest? Is the shot appropriate? How far away is the camera from the item of interest? For example, if you're promoting shoes, you probably won't have a wide angle long shot, so where the camera's far away from the item, because you can't really see the shoes. So make sure your shot doesn't confuse the messaging, because at the end of the day, this is all about visual communication. This is all about conveying your message to your audience. So we have some examples here about, do the colors fit the brand and does the mood convey your brand? So as you could probably see here, you know, one of these videos works better than the other. So on the right-hand side, you know, it's quite happy and bright, and the video really like suits that. Whereas on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, we've got this video that's quite sad. It's quite, you know, depressing, whereas the design is quite bright and bubbly. So it doesn't really suit it. So you can really start to see, you know, when a video is the right selection or the wrong selection. So how busy is the video? Where will it be shown? Will there be information overlaying the video? So you can see the contrast between these two designs here. On the left-hand side, you know, you can really read the text. There's a strong enough contrast between the text and the video. Whereas on the right-hand side, that design, there's quite a lot going on. I'm getting distracted by the hands and the wheel moving and the scenery. Like, there's just a lot going on that, you know, it doesn't really make for an impactful ad. And last but not least, what kind of shot is it? So on the left-hand side, we've got this beautiful scenery here that really fits with the type there that says how to become a digital nomad. You know, the scenery is complementary to the text. Whereas on the right-hand side, you know, there's this guy's back. You know, you can't really tell what's going on because his back is obstructing the shot. I'm not sure, are we trying to promote skin health? What's going on in this shot? So you can really see the contrast between those two designs and how choosing the right video really makes a difference to your messaging. So of course, everything comes with a reason. And what we're going to do today is we're going to select some videos for our bakery. So we're going to jump onto the last page of our design, so workbook number 2, and we're going to go in and select some videos. So just to give you, again, a snapshot of what that might look like, you can see here we've got a static design. And now we're going to actually turn that into a dynamic design with some video content. And navigate to page number 4. So we should all be looking at the page that has the text opening soon with some images there. So now what we're going to actually utilize is this panel over here. So this dark panel over here, the left-hand panel. If we go into elements, this is going to house everything that we can drop and drag into this page. Remember, I was referring to before, everything on this page we refer to as elements. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for something that I think, might be appropriate to what I want to include here for my videos. You can already see here, I've done some searching. So bakery, bread, horse isn't really, as appropriate, but that's okay. So I'm going to search for bakery. And we'll be shown a whole range of elements. But in the top of this panel, you'll be able to see that you can filter between what kinds of element are you looking for. So I'm not looking for a photo because I'm looking for a video. I'm not looking for a graphic, videos. So I will just click on videos, and what it'll do is it'll actually filter my bakery search to only show the videos. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll through and think about all those items that I was mentioning before. So how busy is the video? What kind of shot is it? Does the colors match the branding? And I'm going to think about what video would suit this placeholder over here. So I'm just looking through, and I'm looking with you guys in real time. So I'm going to think about what kind of shot I want to use. This one down here is quite nice with the little tarts that we have. This one here with the Danish scrolls or apple cinnamon scrolls, that one looks quite appropriate. I think I'm going to use this one here. And the way to actually replace this content is to simply drop and drag it. And you can see that when I've dragged it into the canvas and hovered over the top, that you can see it immediately starts to replace the content that was within that page. So I'm going to drop and drag it into this frame over here, and immediately I can see the video being played. And I think that works quite well with the color palette. So I'm going to select the video, and if we go into the top left-hand corner of that top header, you should be able to see this little trim icon with the time. And what that actually does is it tells me how long that video is. And if I click on that, I'm able to actually trim the video. So you can see I've got all these frame snapshots to show me what the contents of the video is. I'm actually going to shorten this video because I think 13.5 seconds might be a little bit long. And I'm going to just trim it. And you can see it's being scrubbed in real time in the canvas. So I'm just going to trim it to be maybe around 6 seconds. So I can see the time dynamically change over here on the left-hand side next to the pause button. And I'm just going to trim it down to about 6 seconds. And now I'll watch the preview so I can see my video is being previewed. Okay, I don't like where it starts. So if I want to change the range, what I can actually do is just select anywhere in the middle of that range that I've selected and then hold. So click down on it, hold it and drag it. So I want it to start more towards the start of the video. So what I just did was I just clicked on there on the selected range, held down and then dragged it. So I can drag it anywhere along this timeline here. All right, I think I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to just click done on the right-hand side of this top header. Remember, if I ever want to change that again, I can always go back up into this top header with that little scissors icon that says the time of the video. I can always click back into that and then adjust that accordingly. I'm just going to click done. And now I've just got to select a second video for the second shot on the right-hand side in my design. So just bear in mind that on the right-hand side of this frame, it's a little bit more narrower. So the content that we put in there, we've got less room to really play with. So the content might need to be a bit more of a close-up shot. So I probably want to look at some, bread items that are more of a close-up. This one might be quite suitable here. So I'm just over here in the left-hand panel. So I think this might be quite a good shot because it's quite close and quite detailed, and you won't lose any of that detail when we put that in that more narrow frame. I'm actually thinking the colors of that might be a bit bright for this design. So I might scroll again and look for another shot. Maybe this one here of the cookie. Bakeries sell cookies, right? I think so. And I can see it's quite an up close detailed shot. So I'm going to drag and drop that back in. That's beautiful. That actually works really well. So you can actually see that, you know, because it's a narrower frame, your content really needs to suit that narrower frame. So I've just dropped and dragged that in just to recap what I did there. I just selected that video, dropped, and then dragged it into the frame. And now I have two wonderful videos within my design. So now we've got, just to recap this entire design, we've got the second page with a full page animation, the third page with customized animations, and the last page with some videos in there. So now we're going to move on. Last but not least, we're going to think about choosing the right music. So if you do want to add music to your social media post, this is a great way to engage another sense, that other sense being hearing. So, you know, don't only think about things being visual, you know, auditory is a huge part of that. And what that can actually do is add another layer to your design. So really to engage those auditory receptors. So 3 key things here that I will break down for you. So first one is know your audience. Secondly, think about the rhythm and tone. And lastly, doesn't the music piece have instrumentals or lyrics? And remember, I'm going to just jump into each of those sections now. So first of all, knowing your audience. Just like choosing a video, you want to know who will be viewing this video. If it's a video for an older audience, there are probably genres you want to steer away from, such as heavy metal. But on the flip side, maybe your audience is younger and you want to be promoting a childcare in which you would steer away from heavy metal as well. So you can see here we have corporate music, which is perfect for video and business communications. We have electronic and techno, which is aimed at more of a younger audience. Pop, which is generally all types, but generally a younger audience. Classical for older audiences. You know, think about all these different kind of genres and your audience. Secondly, think about rhythm and tone. Is the music fast or is it slow? Faster music will most likely make audiences feel more upbeat, more on the go, more energetic, whereas slow music is probably more chilled, more relaxing or calming. So think about how the music track makes you feel, and most likely your audience will feel the same. And lastly, should you choose a music track with lyrics or should you choose one with instrumentals only? So think about, will the lyrics make it hard to hear a voiceover? So if you are including a voiceover, remember lyrics can be quite distracting from that. If there are any other sound effects in the video, will they be able to be heard or will they gel well with the music track? If the music track is the primary track, maybe you can have lyrics since that is the primary track and it won't be interfered with. So think about all these different aspects of music and how they work with your design. So now I'm going to quickly show you a demo on how to actually add music to our design. So back to this design over here. And I'm going to go into the left-hand tab over here and select the tab that says audio. Now, if you don't have that element on that audio tab, which I imagine some of you might not, I'll just show you where to find that. So I've just removed it just for the sake of this demonstration. But if we navigate down to more in this tab panel on this left-hand panel, you just go into more and you should be able to see audio there. And we just want to click on audio and it'll be added as a new tab. Remember that you can upload your own music into this panel here. All you have to do is get your MP3 file and drop and drag it into Canva, and that will automatically upload, which you can then add into your design. So that's a great little hack. But remember that with our audio tracks that we have in Canva, this is covered by your licensing. So that means that, you know, you won't run into any legal issues with the music because all of our music here is covered by Canva licensing. So now I'm going to look at all the different genres that we have within this audio search bar. We are improving this every single day. So, you know, we will be improving our audio search function. So if you can't find something you're quite looking for yet, remember, we're always improving the product. So now I'm looking at all the different genres. And remember, I'm always thinking about my audience and my customers. This is something to always keep in mind. So my customers travel, you know, travel doesn't really suit a bakery. Trap doesn't suit a bakery. Maybe piano will, but I'm not really feeling piano for this bakery. YouTube, this is something I might be posting on Instagram. Happy, yeah, happy could work. I think happy might actually work. And we have a track here that says English breakfast. You know, how fitting for a bakery, right? So if I want to preview that, I can just click on that little play button and just quickly listen to that track. So I'm now just going to quickly preview it just to see if it's got the mood and the tone that I want to convey for my social media posts. Yeah, that sounds about right. I think that really fits our bakery vibe. So I think I'm going to go with this audio piece, but feel free to keep shuffling through all the different audio tracks available. Potentially you could search for some if you wanted to, but I'm going to just stick to this English breakfast audio track. And you can add that to your design just by clicking on it or dropping and dragging. And I'm going to drop and drag it in, and it appears as a pill down the bottom. And at the top, you can immediately see that we get a preview of the design. So you can actually see the entire waveform at the top. And what's actually happening here when it's letting the range of which I might want to have the music play. So I actually quite like that middle section, so where it starts quite loud. And I can tell it's loud from about here because of the waveform. If I hold on for longer, it actually zooms in automatically for me. So I think I want it from about here. I think that works quite well. I might want to change the volume. The volume seems a little bit loud. Remember, if it disappears, it hasn't actually disappeared. It's just down the bottom here in that little pill button. Wonderful. All right, so now I know that's added. I've selected the range that I want. I can just click anywhere in this gray area and I know my music track is added. A lot of questions that are actually coming through that I've heard before is, can I add multiple music tracks? Unfortunately, you can't right now, but in saying that, that is actually something that will be coming towards the end of this year, and we're working really hard on it. That way everyone can have multiple tracks in their design. So keep your eyes out for that. So now I've completed the design. I have this wonderful social media post. So I've got 3 pages. I might delete this first page because this is just a placeholder to tell you what the activity is. So I'll just simply click delete and delete that first page. And I want to preview that design. Remember, in the top right-hand corner, I can preview that design and watch my entire social media post. Great. So remember that you can actually trim the video. So I was realizing on the last page that the video, one of the videos felt a bit long. Yep. So this second video was 28 seconds, which felt a bit long. So you can always trim that. But now you have an amazing social media post, remember, with auditory elements, with animations and more dynamic elements, sound, different visuals, videos. So now you have a more compelling social media post. Remember, you can always go back in and customize this however you like at any time. So feel free to continue experimenting. All right, so I'm going to hand over to Tanmay, who's going to talk a little bit about sharing your design. And I know there's been a few questions throughout the chat about sharing your design. So take it away, Tanmay.
Thanks, Jess. So now that you have some amazing designs, all animated and looking spiffy, you want to share them with the world. There are a few ways to share your design. Now, first up, you can obviously go ahead and download them. And you can do this from the Publish menu in the top right-hand corner of the editor. Now, if you download, make sure it's set the file type to MP4, like you can see in the image there, so that it saves with the animation rather than as a static image. Now, this is perfect for posting to Instagram or putting it on Facebook. Now, the next option you have is to share it as a link. Again, You can find this in the publish menu in the top right-hand corner of the editor, select share link, and voila, you can copy. You can also do this via publish and mobile too on the right, you can see there. Now, sharing as a link is perfect if you don't want to wait around for your design to download, especially if you don't need to upload it to post. Good examples are if you want to send it via WhatsApp, or you want to post it to Facebook or do a Twitter post. Now, when people click the link, they'll get to see your design in a nifty video player, much like playing a video on YouTube. So you can rest assured your animations will retain. The final way to share your design is by scheduling to post. This is great if you want to post something to social media later, and you can simply set and forget. Now, if you have a pro account, all you need to do is find in the publish menu, pick a time, you hit next, you pick a channel. So you might want to pick Instagram business, write a caption, connect to your account, and it'll be automatically posted. And with that, you are now amazing motion designers and you know all about designing to move. Now, it would be amazing if you could make a design in the next 24 hours and post it to Instagram with the hashtag made in Canva. Now back to Jess.
Fantastic. What a lot of amazing information and beautiful designs we created during this workshop. Thank you both, Jess and Tanmay, for sharing your expertise with us today. Lots of appreciation in the chat. And we do have a few questions that we'll come back to in a minute. But I just wanted to highlight some of our community groups that would be really useful for you to join. If you're a Canva lover and you love getting tips and tricks, you'll want to join the Canva Design Circle. So that's a Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Canva Design Circle. And that is where there's a big community of Canva users, people sharing their designs all the time, getting feedback. You'll hear about product releases, these kind of webinars. So if you're not a member already, you might want to jump on there. And also coming up, we have the Canva Space webpage. So this is where you can click on See Event Schedule at the top there, and you can see all of the webinars coming up for the next month or so to make sure that you can book into any that are of interest to you so you don't miss any Canva Space goodness. Of course, we love to hear from you. So we're always improving our courses and we're always really keen to hear what you would like to see more courses on. So please do use this QR code or go to that bit.ly link and fill in that 1-minute form. It's super quick, but we really appreciate it if you just take 1 minute to fill it in, give us your feedback and let us know what else you would like to see coming up in Canva Space. Thank you. So I think that leaves us with a little time for some Q&A. So thanks to Tanmay for jumping in the Q&A panel today and answering so many of our questions already. We did have a question from a little while ago around a book or a website that you can recommend for beginner designers adding animation and movement to their design. Are there any kind of like Bibles that you refer to early in your career as a motion designer? Adding motion to your designs?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Or maybe any websites. Sometimes, sometimes there might be places you go to for inspiration as well.
Yeah. Let me just have a think on that one. Maybe you want to answer the next question because I just want to confirm the website, but basically it is about the principles of design. So just a little bit of background on me. I did have traditional animation, like a traditional animation background. So when I think about animation, it's more of that technical side of things. But I will just link you to that video, which I found really helpful to learn about the principles of animation. And this is actually something that Pixar and Disney use when they think about animation. So it's a little bit more advanced, but it will give you some background into the thinking towards how we design those animations. So if you just want to go to another question, and then I'll look that up while we...
Just to jump in there as well. I haven't come from a motion background and not a fantastic designer, but what I find really helpful is to play around with lots of templates and preview. Practice makes perfect. And so over time, you can get a good sense as well about what makes good motion and good motion design.
Okay. Yeah, fantastic. That sounds like it would give you an amazing grounding.
Oh, yes, I have just found it. Basically, it is called The Illusion of Life. And I've just linked it in the channel, but basically it looks at the 12 basic principles of animations that was developed by Disney Studios. And this was an absolutely great way to teach us about the principles of animations and how we actually go about learning, how to design those.
The following has been paraphrased from The Illusion of Life by Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston. Squash and stretch. This action gives the illusion of weight and volume to a character as it moves. Anticipation. Prepares the audience for a major action the character is about to perform. Each major action is preceded with specific moves that anticipate for the audience what is about to happen. Staging. It's the presentation of an idea so that it is clear. Straight ahead and pose to pose. Pose to pose is charted with key drawings done at intervals throughout the scene. Straight ahead animation starts at the first drawing and works drawing to the end of a scene. Follow through and overlapping. When the main body of the character stops, all other parts continue to catch up to the main mass. Nothing stops all at once. Slow in and slow out. As the action starts, we have more drawings near the starting pose, one or two in the middle, and more drawings near the next pose. Fewer drawings make the action faster, and more drawings make the action slower. Arcs. All actions, with few exceptions, follow an arc or slightly circular path. Arcs give animation a more natural action and better flow. Secondary action. It's an additional action in the scene used as a supplement of the main one in order to reinforce it and add more dimension. Timing. More drawings between poses slow and smooth the action. Fewer drawings make the action faster and crisper. Timing maintains the appearance of an object abiding by the laws of physics. Exaggeration. Remain true to reality, just presenting it in a wild or more extreme form. Solid drawings. It means taking into account forms in three-dimensional space, giving them volume and weight. Appeal. It's a quality of charm, able to please the viewer's eyes. It's the charisma of the action.
Another thing that you can really do to help you learn more about animations is to actually just look at other videos and see if you can actually replicate what those videos are doing. I find that's the best way to actually learn something. The best way to learn something is to actually try and first copy it. And then, as you get better and better, you'll realize that you no longer have to copy things anymore. You can start doing things yourself and start trusting your own intuition. So the Illusion of Life is a great way to start learning those basic principles of animations and use and serve as a great foundation to start building on top of your animation skills.
A quick question around, this was a good one, where we can find specific keywords for the elements. So if you find an element that you really like, click on it, and in the top toolbar, there's a little eye. And sometimes people miss that. Yeah, great. So Jess might just show you quickly now. And there's so much goodness hidden behind this, and people often miss it.
Yep. So I'm just over here in the editor. So I've selected this image. And if we go in this top header, we've got that little eye that Jess was referring to. And you can actually see all the different keywords that resulted in this search popping up. So we've got all these different keywords here. And you can also view more by the same artist or by the same contributor. So right now, I know this spread image was contributed by Mariana. So if I actually click on that, it'll surface all of her content that she's actually contributed in Pexels. So you can see all of the content that she's contributed to. If I go back into that eye and I click on one of those keywords in relation to that image, it will once again surface that in the object panel.
Perfect. Yeah, that's such a good way to find elements that you like the style of. You found one really good one. You also want to keep that consistency through your design, and using that little eye there will really help you out. A quick question about the audio. When you edit the audio in a video in your file, will it keep looping or will it just play once and then stop?
Okay, so that actually depends on the length of your video. So for example, here I can see my video is 38 seconds. So say, for example, I have an audio track that is only 10 seconds, it will loop until the end of that video. So in that case, it would loop for 3 and a bit times. So normally what I recommend is that you choose an audio track that is long enough to span the entire duration of your design. In saying that, when we do support multiple audio tracks, which is coming soon, you will have control over changing that audio track. So just keep your eyes peeled for when we do have multiple audio tracks coming.
Spectacular. Okay, and one last question. Someone asked, are you able to collaborate with other people on your designs? So I wondered if you could just show the different collaboration options.
Yes, you can. And that's something that, I absolutely love collaborating with my team in Canva. It's been an absolute lifesaver. And I'm not just saying that because I work at Canva. It's actually one of the best features we have. But if you go into the top right-hand corner of the header over here and you click on share, you will have all these different options to share your design with other people. And what you can actually do there is you can share the link to edit. So you want to make sure that that's selected because you want your other people in your design to edit it. You can share that as a template. So if you share that as a template, what they'll actually get is they'll get a copy of that template. So they won't be able to edit the actual original design. Or you can share a watch link so they can actually just watch that design, almost like watching a YouTube video, but a Canva video. So I would keep share a link to edit selected, and then you can copy the link and send that to them. Or you can actually just send them an email and then they should get an email link. And then when they click on that link, they'll be able to jump straight into the design. So maybe I'll just share that quickly now with Tanmay. And then you'll see him pop into the design and you'll be able to see this all happen in live action. I can see here that I've got Tanmay and I can see exactly what he's doing in live time, which is really awesome. So I can see him moving the image in real time, which is a great feature if you want to collaborate with many other people. And he's just changing the text there. So there we go.
Fantastic. And just a follow-up question from Charlie, the person you're collaborating with, would they need to be part of your team or would they just need a Canva account to participate?
They would just need a Canva account. So as long as I have shared them the link to edit, so as long as it says to edit, they don't have to necessarily be part of my team. They can just jump straight in with their Canva account and I'll be able to tell who is in the design because when I click on this share, I'll be able to see exactly. So you can see here that Tanmay is actually part of the Canva team, whereas I'm not using an account that is part of the Canva team. So I can even see Tanmay has added a little comment here, which is great because I can click on here and reply, like, hey, and I can actually tag him directly there. So it's a great way for feedback and a great way for an approval flow as well.
Spectacular. And we've got a few questions about teams coming through, how to add someone to your team. And I just want to let you know that we have an upcoming workshop on that specific topic, all about teams, the whole session. So I recommend that you stay tuned and keep an eye out for upcoming workshops in August for a little bit of deeper knowledge on that. So yeah, thanks for scrolling back to that feedback page. I'm just going to pop that link in the chat one more time before we wrap up for today. So again, thank you, Jess and Tanmay. That was an excellent workshop on videos and animations. A lot of thanks coming through in the chat. And thank you to everyone who was able to join us live today. We hope to see you at another Canva Space workshop very soon. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you all.
Have a great day, everyone, or a great night.
Bye-bye.